Hopefulness, day 9. Need to do some dishes here. So I don't know how many. I don't have anything to cook in. I'm gonna put my water. Not that one. There it is. I didn't go grocery shopping yesterday. I just decided to cook up some bacon, throw in some pasta and some sauce. But I run out of everything, so I might go today, I might not. I may get the Instacart, I may not. Because one of the things that has been rattling around in my head has been should probably just rent a car for like a week and run with it and see what happens. I've obviously got to I gotta talk to the landlady about it, see what the parking situation could be with regards to that. I know I can't park on site, but that doesn't mean I can't park in the street. I just gotta know the street parking legalities and all that. So that's something I've got to consider. Probably do that tomorrow, since I don't know exactly how everything works out here with regards to cars, but I know back when I was in Texas, like Sunday was the day off for cars, so you couldn't like go to a used car lot or anything to get a car. You couldn't even go to like Hertz or Enterprise or whatever to rent a car. And so I'm just kind of running that. I'm running on that idea. And tomorrow I've also got a phone call with my psychiatrist. It'll be brief. The last one was like an hour, but that was just sort of a get to know you kind of thing. They're usually pretty brief because it's all about just kind of quick understanding, check up how the med's working, stuff like that. So forgot to take it today, so I'll go ahead and do that when I'm not washing dishes with wet hands. Hopefully I don't forget. But yeah, almost peed myself earlier. That's what woke me up. I was having a dream where I was like, it's weird, my work-related style dreams, because it was very much work-related, and I was evidently working more or less at iHeart, not exactly the same place, but an office, and it was reminiscent of iHeart in its own way. But it was just kind of like an office, and I'm guessing, I don't know, that it was associated with iHeart, because I wasn't really doing anything iHeart related. Apparently, like, somebody had taken some hard drives out of some equipment or some shit. I don't know what's going on in my brain with that shit. And they wanted us to figure it out. I don't know if it was supposed to be like a scavenger hunt or something, but then we figured it out, and it was dumb. But at the same time, I had also been working, at least within the dream itself, as security at my old security job, and like I was wearing the security uniform at the other job because I didn't have time or some bullshit. I don't know. It was weird. But at one point, had to use the restroom in the dream, started peeing in the dream, and then I felt that thing where you're like, oh wait, no, let's not do this, because this is real life now. No. Let's not activate those things. That was a fun little close call. Had that happen a number of times. I mean, I don't know how often that happens for other people. I wouldn't say it happens frequently with me, by any means. And I haven't I honestly cannot recall the last time I pissed myself while I was asleep. In the sense that when I woke up, there was evidence. I can't recall the last time it happened. It has happened in the past, but I can only remember, the only times I can recall, even vaguely, is when I was a kid. And I only think vaguely in that I can't recall it ever happening when I was an adult. Like the sensation of memory and that event feels like something I only did when I was a kid. So I don't know. One of the things I need to do is I need to start kind of approaching living here as if this is where my residence is going to be from now on, and not really think about the what ifs of other things. I mean, I know 1,500 is not something that's exactly affordable, but it's not like I have much choice at the moment. It's either this or it's, some other stupid bullshit. I don't know. But with the nature of the situation, I'm not in much position to make choices, really. At least with regards to what my living situation is. And because I've made the decision to stick around, I gotta go with what's available, and this is what's available. I don't know how long it's gonna be available, but I need to approach it as if it is my future living situation. Because if I don't, it's going to be kind of like, the previous conversation with, regards to decisions and all that stuff. It's like, if I don't make the decision is going to be made for me. And I don't like either option, really. But if I approach it like, this is where I'm living, then I can start to make this space more like a place in which I would live. It could also mean getting stuff from storage. Instead of thinking, okay, well, I'll be done here soon, I'm going to go somewhere else kind of thing. And instead, that's not going to be the case. And then I go get things like groceries, or I get stuff out of storage that, are of use. I could sell some stuff that's not of use, or just discard it. Because even though this is a month-to-month, there's no obligation to be living here for any period of time. I don't have any alternatives lined up. Without any alternatives lined up, what are my other options? And I've had, these issues with trying to find housing for literally years now. I mean, I started looking for places, not like super hardcore, but pretty regularly. And let's get this ready so I can start. But so around March, when I was still going to school, still working, COVID was slowly picking up in the U.S., but nothing serious or anything at the time. And I had recently moved into the last place I was living in.
Well, I knew that. So the dude that I was largely talking with, and he was the one that that showed me the place and all that stuff, and I was the one, I talked to him. He was the son of the woman who lived there, and he lived there at the time too, and so he was looking for another person to rent the space. And when when I showed up and I talked to him about it and everything, he was like, hey, mom's got some weird ass behaviors and shit. I didn't really know the extent of it. I didn't know to what degree she was doing drugs and whatnot, or how bad the hoarding and stuff was. All of which were pretty severe. I mean, like, debilitatingly severe. Her hoarding was bad that we had mice everywhere, all over the damn place. I hadn't really noticed that until I had actually moved in. It became more obvious once I kind of like huddled into my space, but like, once I stopped using the kitchen, and I had, I brought my own microwave and I had the refrigerator and everything. That was when it became more obvious. Because they were going to be around food, which makes sense. And I'm not exactly like the cleanest person, but I'm also not like I'm not super bad. I'm a little lazy for the most part, but that's about it. And so yeah, I would, I'd clean up whenever I could, but the motherfuckers were running around the place all the time anyway. It wasn't as noticeable until I lost my job and, I was in the room pretty much 24/7. So that makes sense. It's like exposure. You'll notice things more so. So, but around that time too, she was having some sort of yelling fit or whatever, and she was throwing shit and whatnot. It woke me up because I was sleeping during the middle of the day because that was when I would sleep because my job was at midnight. And then there were, so I started documenting some stuff, and I got paperwork somewhere in the storage. But I was like, this isn't something that I can live with, when it's happening this often. So I started looking into places where I could move. Let me toss this out. I gotta replace it with another set of paper towels / napkins so that I can drain the next set of bacon. Storing bacon grease is great and all, but generally speaking, I don't find myself needing as much as there is. It's like, store bacon grease all you want, I get it, but I don't generally need that much. So I have no reason to store it really. So yeah, I've replaced these with my scissors, I've replaced, other stuff with other stuff. Replace in the sense that I would just wash these and then just put them away and then only mess with my own stuff. Kind of like how I started over at the other side. But yeah, because of her, drug use and because of to the extent that it was, I was thinking she was just an alcoholic. I didn't realize how bad everything was going to be. And so, only 3 months into living there, I was already ready to get the fuck out. Lo and behold, though, COVID being what it was and what it is, and all the other problems associated with it, and me losing my job, but still making reasonable money because of good money, because I wasn't working and I was making full-time minimum wage with unemployment. The thing I cut off this past September, which sucks. So now I've got to go back to work, even though this stupid disease is still spreading everywhere and causing all kinds of societal problems. So, you know, it's one pain in the ass after another. Welcome to the Armageddon. Welcome to the apocalypse. It's pretty boring, ain't it? All things considered. You know, it's nothing like This Is the End, when it was the literal rapture. Jonah Hill was getting fucked in the ass by a demon. A little bit more of good. Funny is, this is like bacon ends and pieces, but there's still some like pretty large chunks in here for the most part. They're not really that small, is what I'm getting at. Other than the tiny pieces that I've ended up creating. Anyway. One of the things I do, put it inside of a bag so that okay, when I buy it, it's perfectly sealed, no problem. When I open it up though, I don't want it to contaminate anything else, so I'll put it in that bag. That bag is associated with the chicken that I had purchased, because with the chicken, you know, it's in its own little container, but those things are really well sealed. And so I get a I get a produce bag, and put the big, you know, chicken sleeve cardboard styrofoam thingy, whatever the fuck it is, in that, so that, you know, it doesn't leak or anything. And if it doesn't leak, well, great. You know, if it does leak, well, okay, we mitigated that. Might as well start the water too, because it cooks in roughly the same time. There we go. Don't really need you at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and push you back over here because I don't need you at all. Stir the salt water. See, I started looking for places to stay. And again, I mean, you know, it wasn't hardcore outright kind of thing, but, and then it was like, well, you know, I couldn't find anything. There wasn't really that much for listings. It still really isn't that much for listings as it is. And so I just kind of stayed. And I mean, I was saving a bunch of money, and I was doing what I could to enjoy myself, you know, buy little things here and there with regards to, you know, I'm one of those dumbasses who decided to pick up a hobby during the pandemic and then stopped almost immediately after. I bought a DSLR camera. I was like, hey, I'll go outside, I'll take pictures of shit. Yeah, right. Me be consistent with anything? This is the most consistent I've been with anything. And then I renamed it on the 90th day for, I don't fucking remember why. Thinking that there would be some kind of positive future, I don't know. Hopefully. You know, because like, depending on my, this is the thing that I didn't mention before, Like I already knew pretty much that this $1,500 situation was going to happen. Just didn't want to reveal it on camera yet until it was more or less set in motion. But also because the timing on renaming it means that on March 1st, it'll be day 31. Because the days were screwing with me. Even though this is screwing with me as it is. The whole thing is screwing with me. This whole situation. This is me trying to maintain my sanity in some way, I don't know. I mean, who the hell am I talking to? Nobody. I'm talking to myself. You know, I mean, I guess it's therapeutic, I suppose, I don't know. I could do laundry tomorrow too. So I probably can't do, hell, I don't even know. I'll probably wait till Tuesday then to do the car situation. I gotta talk to, like I said, I gotta talk to the landlady about it too. So Tuesday makes more sense. I still have some bacon and I still have plenty of pasta and I still have plenty of sauce. So it's not like it's gonna be problematic. Because the thing is, I wanna get the car and I wanna go storage, grab a bunch of stuff, go to the store, grab a bunch of stuff, and then come home and then like set it up and then be like, okay, now it's time to order Uber Eats. But before I can even do that, I've got to sell some of my stock, some of my mutual funds. Now I don't need to dump $2,500 like before, but it's probably going to be a good idea to dump another $2,500 because that'll be for the next month, and then that extra $1,000 will be able to cover all the other costs. Because I've got about $500 left in the bank right now. And I think I have about I want to say about 8,500 maybe in the mutual fund. It depends on so many factors, of course. Let's lower that just a little bit. One thing about cooking things, especially animal products, is that fat tends to render out at a higher temperature. But I know it's at the lower, I can't remember. Okay. Screw what I just said. Reverse it a little bit. If you want to render out more fat, start with a cold pan. I don't remember why. But if you want your food stuff to be less fatty by the end of the cooking, start with a cold pan instead of a hot pan. Again, I don't recall why. I could probably look it up, but I don't even know why I brought it up other than the fact that I started with a colder pan. And no, you don't sear in the juices or anything like that. In fact, one of the issues with steak and various other things is if you don't let it rest, it just squeezes out all that juicy stuff. And then it's drier, which is why chicken breast is so dry in general. Because it hasn't had, one, it's been overcooked. Doesn't help. But two, I just think I've turned it on, maybe not. But two, because it hasn't, generally if it doesn't rest, it won't reabsorb any of the juices. And of course you're going to still have some on a plate when it's resting. put those into whatever you're doing. You know, you can cut your pieces off and then remix it together if you want to, and it'll help to reabsorb those juices. And then you can dump them onto whatever it is you're eating. I still haven't been able to time this properly with regards to cooking the bacon in the water. But I mean, like, bacon's about 80% there. It's getting close. So, yeah, no. Because I would have to start the water. Seems like I have to start the water sooner. So maybe I could just do the pot, start that up, and then start cutting bacon into that. I'll try that tomorrow. Do that tomorrow. I have time in the morning right now. Only 26 minutes. I think the longest video I've had so far. I'm going to turn on the fan so it's going to be noisy. I think the longest video I've had is like 46 minutes. It's getting close to noon. One of the things I've also been considering is like maybe doing the whole like Uber Eats DoorDash thing. I think I mentioned that in another video at some point. Because you don't have to worry about dealing with people in the car. You just have to deal with potentially people at their homes. And if most people just want you to drop off, you better. And I think I mentioned it in a previous video as well, maybe even yesterday, the day before, I don't know. But like, driving in the area, especially doing something like that, might actually get me more accustomed to, you know, the nature of traffic and some of the other things. Getting accustomed to how it all works and stuff, and then improving my skill. So the smaller pieces are pretty much cooked. So I'm just gonna dump this on here. Let that absorb. Ooh, still hot. What time do I have on the 6 minutes? I do prefer, generally speaking, to cook in one pot. You know, cook the bacon in the smaller pot and then throw the water and everything. But then the bacon gets kind of cold by then. Which is why I try to undercook it a little bit. So if I undercook it a little bit, then and so I also undercook the pasta a little bit too, because it says 11 minutes for al dente. I put it in for 10 because then I'm going to turn, you know, I'm going to put the pasta sauce on there and everything. Throw in the extra bacon and then continue to cook them so everything gets nice and warm. Generally, not even warm, but hot. Well, we'll see. I can use one of the bowls that I used yesterday. Because this is pretty much the serving size of what it all ends up being. But yeah, I haven't, you know, the one thing is I haven't really done anything in LA in the 10 years that I've been here. Like, I haven't done anything touristy other than go to the beach a couple of times. And even then, you know, I never really did anything beach-wise. You know, I did go to, I did go to Griffith Observatory, but I didn't really spend that much time there. The thing is that, like, a car is really the way to go about this place. And it sucks because that is, again, it's me being part of the problem. Instead of everything being refitted so that it does work with public transit, but, you know, there's been so much pushback against public transit in so many ways. I mean, you got the Koch brothers doing their things, and one of them's dead now, but nevertheless, they're still passing on their legacy. And I mean, it's just like, this city and this country are so entrenched in cars that despite my own misgivings, I'm still considering doing it, just because it's that much easier to work with a car, to do everything with a car. Because the transit situation is so far behind, and there's so much pushback. Whether it's NIMBYs that don't want, you know, train stops in their town, what have you. I mean, like, that's why the Purple Line stops where it stops and hasn't extended into Beverly Hills, and even though they're now working on that. That's why my hometown doesn't have a public transit system at all. It's a bunch of, you know, white suburbanites who don't want black people in their town. Basically, that's what it boils down to. They talk about they don't want the unsavory people or the riff-raff or whatever. It's all fucking dog whistles for racism. Because generally speaking, in America, most people who are poor and or homeless, disproportionately speaking, and especially more visibly speaking, are the black community. And it's a sad fucking state of affairs. It's despicable, in fact. And because that is the way it has been for so long, people think that's how it is. And so they want the poors, which inevitably mean the blacks, to stay away. And while, yes, having somebody shitting on your fucking doorstep is a shitty thing, literally and figuratively, I suppose, you know, somehow not using your wealth and combining it together to create public services to then get that person a home is the less desirable option. Because that means you have to sacrifice something. Instead of saying, well, let's have somebody else take care of it. Let's invest in the police, if you will. Because that's where the police come into play. I like my bacon more on the chewy side than the crispy side. I don't know why. Well, I think I do. Because there's less chance of it being burned. A big old chunk of hair. It tastes flavorful. So let's push all the unsavory people away. Let's push them under the rug, as it were. Even though they could help. They don't want to. And I'd like to help, but I'm not much of a position to be able to do so. I don't have a job. I don't have that kind of money. Move it over here. Damn it. And I mean, yeah. You know, you probably listened to that story that I told about, you know, Wilfred's mother and how she had a lot of the same problems and how it was directly affecting me. But I'm like, I still wasn't like on any kind of solid footing as like there was no certainty in my future with regards to, you know, how things were going to go. And it's also not exactly healthy for me to be around that kind of behavior because I get influenced by it easily, and it, you know, causes me emotional problems too. It's like I need to be around stable people because I have my instabilities, I have my history with mental health issues and abuse and violence and homelessness and such. I need to be away from that so that I can get better. And I mean, I don't know how long that would take. For all I know, it would take the rest of my goddamn life. But if I'm not in, and this is also another thing, if I'm not near it, if I'm not experiencing it, I don't worry too much about that for the sake of the bacon and all that, because there's more for bacon than it is for anything else. For all I know, me being around it only exacerbates it on the whole. I'm not saying that I'm super influential or anything like that. It's just that it's like when you're in traffic. Nobody blames themselves for being traffic. But you're part of it. You're part of traffic. And as such, traffic exists because you exist there. Well, the same thing is with any kind of major problem in society, and especially when it comes to, you know, certain societal issues. And this is not to say that, because this is obviously a larger issue overall, but it's not to say that the people who are suffering from the issues are the ones that need to make all the changes. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you're able to make the change, you do so. And whatever it is, if you can, try. That, I think, is the more important part. If your existence, if you can try to rectify a problem, and especially if you are part of a greater problem, and you have the power to help mitigate that just by trying to, then try. Does that mean that every homeless person has to take up personal responsibility and not be homeless? No. Because they may not be able to try. They may be so debilitated in one way or another. You know, the reason why I'm not back on the fucking streets is because I'm trying. I'm not doing well. I'm not doing very successfully at all, but I'm trying. But not everybody can try. But if you can, if it is within your power to be able to try to do something that can make the world... DFTBA, don't forget to be awesome. Do everything you can to decrease world suck. You know, try to decrease world suck if you can. If you cannot, that means that you're effectively victim of world suck. And that's okay. I mean, it's not okay in the sense that, you know, the world is sucking and that you're a victim of it, but it's okay that you don't have to try. You may not be able to because of circumstances, or because of ability, or something else. It's okay to be human. We all suffer in some way or another. Let's try to decrease world suffering. Try to decrease world suck. I'm going to take the actual words, whatever they may be, because I don't remember them off the top of my head specifically, but I'm going to try to find those exact words, and that'll be the title of this video. Because trying to decrease world suck is admirable. And we should all do what we can to help. If we can. If is also the biggest part. And, you know, unfortunately, money is the biggest decider in all that. Having money in this world is the way to help decrease world suck. More than anything else. Awareness is one thing. Money creates action. This is why the rich don't like giving it away, because they don't want to lose their power. Well, knowledge is also power. Spread the power. Have fun.